was not picky.
Yes, you
It
were.
was the truth, though. Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is George, and this is
Susie.
And this here is the I Know Right
Podcast.
Yes. Oh, glad to be back, guys. It's been 2 weeks since our last episode, which was
The love languages episode, our love episode, which we got a lot of positive feedback on, and I'm very happy about it because I feel that it was important. I've been wanting to talk about that for a while, and I felt that the timing was right. The divine timing was going on at that moment. So
awesome. Yeah, and thank you guys for letting us know that you guys like the podcast. And please, if you can, put reviews down, and because that's the way that people get to know us and people get to hear us. The more we rank up better, the more we get listened to.
I'm going to be honest right now. And I'm going to say George is a little uncertain about that last episode.
What? A little bit, just a little bit.
He feels it was like we talk about ourselves too much and that it was too long of an episode, and I feel that it was perfect. So many people didn't know about love languages, period, and so many people reached out to me to let me know their love language, that they took the test, and now they know. And now society and our little ecosystem can be better.
Well, you know what? It's because I have a what is it? A gripe? Is that the word?
Mm-hmm.
Like I have like a not vendetta, but like a gripe towards podcasts, because I feel like sometimes they beat around the bush. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I feel like I'm more like right now in my point of life, I'm looking for more tactical things. Like, this is what you got to do: 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 steps. That's it, and get over with the podcast. Let's go.
So, like,
you know
take your love languages test and love this way. Like that should have been the podcast.
I was like that, but you know what I mean. Like, I felt like we could have just like really been like that. But I feel like, and that's why I was like, man, maybe we should just really get to the more helpful things for the person. But when we started this, it was about us, right? So like getting this and doing this. So that's why I kind of drifted away from what we wanted to start the podcast.
You want to be all like those like rich roll podcasts. We ain't rich roll. Yeah. We're Susie and George.
Awesome. So thank you guys again. It was a hit actually, and thank you guys for all that. So let us know what's going on in this episode.
So actually we have some viewer questions.
Awesome.
2 of the questions are from our number 1 and number 2 fans.
Should we say the names or are we not? We're going to keep them anonymous?
Let's leave people guessing on who they are. But our number 1 fan.
Oh, wait, before we get into that, please, guys, every time we launch a podcast on Thursday, they're going to come out on Thursday between 11 and 12. We're going to put a question up, right? Mm-hmm. We're going to put the opportunity to ask us a question on our Instagram. So please keep a lookout for that.
Yes, definitely. It makes it helpful for us to know what you guys want to know as far as for the show, but also like little quirky things for ourselves. Yeah, and these are all very quirky questions, actually. So the first question by our number 1 fan. Okay. And I've made this entirely too long of a question. It was worded much shorter, but it's fine. So the question is, if you had a time machine and you could only go forward or back. So this machine, it's only one direction, right? So you have to choose which direction you're going to stick with the whole time. Like, I'm going to pick this time machine and I'm only going to go forward, or I'm going to pick this time machine and I could only go backward, back in time. Which one would you choose?
Oh, man.
This was actually like a really magnificent question, and it was tough for me to really decide what I would choose.
Yeah, when I heard the question, I was like, man, what would I do? But I knew like right off the bat, I was like, all right, there's no way. So do you want to say your answer and then we'll get into whys? Or because I feel like that'd be a little bit better, I don't want my question to influence your decision or anything like that.
I just want you to know, George, you never have to worry about that. You never have to worry about your answer influencing me.
All right, let's
go.
But
I'm going to give you my answer, and I'm going to choose forward.
Yeah, I'm going forward too.
Okay.
I am going forward for legitly.
Now, hold on. Let me add a little spice to this.
Oh, here we go. A little.
5 years ago, would you choose the same?
No.
I wouldn't either. I would go in reverse.
Yeah. 5 years. Wait. I have to think 5 years. No, yeah, 5 years ago, no, I would go reverse.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would go reverse if 5 years ago. Yeah.
Me too. Me too. So I really had to think long and hard about this. Really great question. But I am in a place in my life where I have overcome so many things from my past that I do not see any benefit in going back there, whether it's a good memory, bad memory, life-changing memory. It really serves no purpose because I am a different person at this moment. And if I want to see, so I do this thing, right, where it's like I show up every day, or I pretty much almost every day, I show up as the person that I want Susie a year from now to be, 2 years from now.
Okay.
And so for me, going in the future and seeing how I am and how I should show up now in present time, that would be helpful for me. And in my past, I could never even imagine being where I am now.
Yep.
So, like, in so many ways, not even just like as a business owner, but in so many ways. So yeah, I would not go back. It made me a little sad to think about it. Actually, it made me a little sad because there's so many good memories. Like we just the doctor episode, we just went. It was his year anniversary, so like all those beautiful memories of him, I wouldn't go back, and I couldn't go back according to my answer. Yeah, and a lot of nice things, like my nieces and nephews being born and all that stuff. So it was a little hard for me to think about that, but I am very content in leaving all that behind and just moving forward.
Yeah, I am with you on that end. All I could think about, there's two things. It's just the way I saw my life was like a bar graph, right? Like not a bar graph. I'm sorry, like a line graph.
Mm-hmm.
And at this moment in my life, it's pointed up, and I want to see where that up is gonna end. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And if I go,
it's exciting.
If I reverse in time, I don't know where I'm going. I don't know what time I'm going. But that looked more like a jagged, kind of like.
Yes, I
bar
agree.
graph, you know what I mean? So
mine was like really low for a long time, and I'd be like up, down, up, down. One day we might discuss that if I really want to share, but probably not. But it was just so I agree with you.
Yeah, and I don't want to go back in time and ruin any type of opportunity that, like I feel like if I went back in time, if I made this little decision, everything's gonna change, like kind of like that's it. I'll never meet Stephanie. I'll never have the baby. I'll never even think about shooting video or taking it, or I'll never meet Rocio. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I think about this all the time, and I think we talked about it in a podcast before. But I think about it like one of the biggest decisions in my life was picking which GNC to work at, and one GNC was this one right here in Melrose Park, and that led to Rocio walking into my gym, and that led to me coming here. And that I always think about that one thing, and I just I do not want to go back in time and screw up what I am now.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that was a great question from our number one. So that was awesome. And we had two questions, right? Are you done with this, or you want to keep on going with this?
No, I'm done with this answer. I think that was good.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
So our number 2 question is from our number 2 fan. And the reason that they're our number 1, number 2, they have recently binged all the episodes of the I Know Right podcast. So I feel like they should be celebrated as top fans.
Yeah.
So this is from our number 2 fan. She wanted to know dumbest things we've ever thought, done as a child growing up, or even recently. I can't even think of this, honestly.
Yeah, well, I think one of the things is like, there's a lot in that question, right? So thought and done is like, or said is like,
you've ever said,
like,
thought, or done. I have too. I have a lot of I'm like, if you've ever seen the movie Bridget Jones.
No. Oh wait,
but you know the concept. Bridget
yes.
Jones is like this woman who's embarrassing. Like she always does it.
Yes.
Like they call me Bridget Jones in my family. Like I'm embarrassing, and so I've done embarrassing things like without wanting to. So there's just so many. I don't even think I can choose.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I can't really think of too many things. But mean,
as a kid,
yeah, I've
in
done
your
some
past.
very, very dumb shit. Like, okay, so one time, one time I drank,
He's
one
already
time I
laughing.
drank pine salt.
Okay, Claudia Castro. Shout out to Claudia. She did something similar, but
Like,
okay.
what the fuck was I thinking? You
But
know?
like, why did you do that?
I have no fucking
But like, you knew it
idea.
was pine salt.
Yeah, but you know what I thought? I thought it was fresh. Maybe I was thinking my breath was gonna be fucking clean after that.
No,
Or
how old
something,
were you though? For
I
real?
have no idea.
So
I
you
have
were
no idea.
little.
Yeah, I was young. Yeah, for sure, I was young. So I mean, but yeah, like that's such an idiot thing to do. You know what I mean?
I
Like,
can't.
What the
I'm
fuck?
sorry. I can't think of something.
Really? Come on.
I
Susie.
can't.
Dude, one time I gave a girl a rose and she threw it in front of my face.
Stop.
Yeah, she threw it away in the garbage can. You know, like those big ones we have in the back of the gym? Like, we're in line going into class and I gave her
What
a
grade?
rose.
You have to give
It's
context.
like third grade.
Okay.
It's like third grade, and it's like, dude, I remember her name too, Samantha. Oh, Samantha, it makes me so angry. But yeah, I gave her a rose, and literally she like threw it in front of our face, in line with everyone before
That's
we got
so
into class.
rude.
So I think that, and I always look back at that, I'm just like, oh, that's so dumb. You know what I mean?
Well, why was it dumb? You were being romantic.
I don't know, but maybe yeah. So, anyways, yeah. But so, man, there's so many dumb things.
I cannot think of one thing.
Oh man.
And I swear I'm not lying. I swear I'm not lying.
Oh,
Like,
here we go, guys.
I just
Come on.
can't think of something that's like, man, that was so dumb. I have done dumb things, but it's not like
Oh man.
where I'm like traumatized by
You've
them.
never tripped in front of people. You've never
Well,
spit out food.
but see,
You've
like,
never like
said or done, said or thought. Like, I feel more about like saying something dumb and it like marks me forever, right? I don't really
Okay.
think about. I feel like sure, like who doesn't trip and it's embarrassing.
You've never said something dumb during like a coach class or something like.
Sometimes my analogies don't work,
Okay.
but I don't feel like they're dumb.
Maybe that's I don't know, but yeah. So all right.
I feel I don't
She's
know.
perfect, guys. So oh my god.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. No, you know what I'll do? I'll work on this. I'll think about it. I'm sure if I ask like my brother and sisters.
Yeah.
Well, you know, my brother calls me the smartest and dumbest person he's ever met because I'm not good at math, or there are some basic things that sometimes I'm just like, what? You
Dude,
know?
there has to be something dumb with your car. You're not the greatest like knowledgeable about cars. Like your bumper
Okay.
fell off one time.
Sure.
So that had to be something dumb. How did that fall off?
Bella crashed into a
So it
snowbank.
wasn't
So
your
there
fault.
you go.
Okay. Dang,
Yeah.
you see? Oh, well, maybe Susie, you're perfect.
Okay, so maybe let's go into that. I'll think about it. I'll post it somewhere because I just really can't think about it.
All right, cool. So we're gonna move on, and we got one more
Last
thing, so
question.
go ahead.
Do we always love our life?
Do we always love our life? You want to go first, or you want me to go first?
I want you to go first. You're not going to influence my answer. Don't worry.
Nah, I'm just. Well, you already made it clear that I won't. But anyway, yeah. So, no, I would say no. I don't always love my life. I think there's times where it's just like, am I really doing what I'm need to be doing, or sometimes I don't eat right, and I just like something. Yeah, it makes you question like, what are you doing in your life, But I think, in overall the big picture of the scheme, yes, I do love my life when I really zoom out and I see all of the good things. And that's why it's great to do gratitudes and gratitude exercises and really
every day.
Me and Stephanie, every night before we go to sleep, we do what are 3 things you're grateful for.
That's so sweet.
So and it just helps you realize like all the small things. Like yesterday you gave me the sandwich. Like I was really grateful for the sandwich you gave me.
That was a
So
fire
little things,
sandwich.
And I think that's. But when you zoom in micro, like like there's things that you're just like, damn, I don't love that right now.
Yeah.
So.
I'm gonna say I agree with you. I'm gonna be like really honest right now. I'm gonna say within the last year, probably like the worst year ever. Like really think about the worst year ever. Yeah. Like for me, I had so many great things happen too, but like the doctor died, my dad died, my best friend kills herself. I got the gym. I've met some really amazing people, but then like Ange leaves, Rocio leaves, Sanchi leaves, my brother gets shipped off to Afghanistan. Like so many things that didn't go very well in that aspect, where if I was at any other mental capacity of I would have hated my life this whole time.
Right.
And I would have to say this is probably like the year from like a year ago today to now, where I have to say I loved every part of it. And in other times, I have really hated. But February 2020 and before, that whole year before was tough on me. And I can't even say that I went through half of the things that I went through in 2020. And 2019 was awful. Okay. And I can with all certainty say I hated my life then. I hated it. There was so much stuff going wrong. I had a lot of turmoil with people. I was very unsure of like what direction I was going to, but I did feel like all the things that I was doing, like reading, the coaches that I got, like were planting the seeds for me to be where I am now, but I just couldn't even like imagine it. But I hated my life then for sure. Even though I was doing the things that people were like, wow, like she's doing all this stuff. She has a relationship coach and a life coach. And I was getting programming from my friends, Christian Placencia and Natalie Higby. And I was, like getting every cert possible, all that stuff. Yeah. And people were probably thinking that I was like thriving. I really hated my life then. Yeah. So I don't always love my life, but I have to say this is the most consistent I've ever been with loving it.
That's awesome. That's great to hear. And I think another thing too is like to touch base on that is that it brings up like a taboo subject is that and I heard this on another podcast too, and like it's so true, is that like it's hard to be able to be that needle in the haystack to say 2020 was a good year, because it was such a bad year for a lot of people. But like it was I feel like it was one of my greatest years. Like it tested me.
It's so far my best year.
Yeah, it was. It kind of like just showed me who I was as a business person, as a husband, as a father, all that kind of thing. So I feel like it's very taboo on that.
I also feel that. I have to say it was my best year so far, and anytime something new would happen, I was like, okay, like how am I facing this? What's my mentality with it? Because I had really severe losses. And so to me, every time it was like, okay, how am I approaching this? And I just had to approach it like, okay, like their time here was done. Like I appreciate the times that I spent with them. Doesn't mean I don't miss them. Doesn't mean I don't still cry. All that stuff I do all the time. But it would have been much harder any other year. Yeah. And every time a new challenge arose, I was able to really have a better attitude and mindset around it. So, yeah. Yeah, it's 2020 was nice. 2020 was nice.
Yeah.
So let's talk about 2020.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, we started our podcast in 2020 also.
Was it 2020?
Yes, it was. We started in 2020.
Okay, interesting.
So there you go. But the main thing that we're going to be talking about today.
Was she already talked about a little bit, which I think like your seeds, I think seeds is kind of one of those things, like so I was going to tell the
yes,
people.
Would be manifestation.
Yeah.
And manifestation is something that people, my mom feels like it's like magic. Like, you know what I mean? Like I'm talking magic. She's like, oh, you and your like magic. And actually my shirt says, might fuck around and cast some spells. Oh. So that's why I wore my shirt. I actually got a shirt like this too for Rocio. Because at the end of the day, we are always casting spells.
Yes.
And making our life, we're writing the story all the time, and we don't realize that that's what's happening. And it could be a little overwhelming to think about things like that, to think that life is happening to you instead of you're creating it. Yeah. People like to feel like life is out of their control and like they can't control it. They have no grasp over it, but you absolutely do. And I planted a lot of seeds, and I am here today. So I want you to give me a specific example of something that you might have manifested so that we can expand on the topic.
Oh man, okay, so
I like that you laugh before every answer.
Oh man, dude, it's because it's kind of really like bad, but it's I switched my energy towards it now that I know. So I'm gonna tell you something, guys. So I never believed in manifestation. 5 years ago, 6 years ago, whatever. I didn't never. But the weird thing, let me tell you. Okay, this is really weird because I'm gonna feel. I don't like feeling it's like big headed or like cocky, right? But for some reason, I don't know what it was, but like high school, outside of high school, I was able to get with every girl that I've ever wanted to get with. And like no, like I don't know if that's manifestation or like even like and like for some reason like even when he told me like you would never have a fucking chance, I don't know if it's consistency or just like a challenge or something like that, but for some reason like I've like it's crazy like and I just and it's just that's just how it's happened. But now like being older and I realize that it's helped me be able to switch my energy towards other things like manifesting clients, manifesting money,
Correct.
manifesting I literally manifested Stephanie. I manifested I even though she was already in the world, I manifested her. I asked God, I asked the universe, God, if you bring me a great woman, if you bring me a good ass fucking woman that's gonna accept me for who I am, I will, be the greatest man that I can be for her. And he fucking dropped Stephanie in front of me. Like we connected after.
And he already knew Stephanie.
Yeah, and I knew Stephanie, and I knew her, and we finally started talking, and it was just she was like a perfect, not perfect, but like it was a great. Not her being perfect, but it was just a. Because we still got to work on a relationship, right? But it was just perfect. She understood me. She was able to accept me for my crazy ideas. Anyways, but like, and that's why. Like when you're younger, I didn't realize what I was doing, but now that I'm older, I was like, holy shit, I was manifesting, this love for these women, but I was like feeling them, I was thinking about them in my head, because I think that's part of manifestation for
100%.
You can't just like say, oh, I'm gonna make $100,000 this year and sit on the couch. You have to do something.
Correct. So let's talk a little bit about the concept of manifestation, because I think that you have told us. Like you get from point A to point B. That's manifestation, right? But like you thought about Stephanie, asked for someone like Stephanie, and you got Stephanie. Okay. So how manifestation works is that you are putting in a very great desire of something into the world. But you cannot think about it too much, because what happens with thinking and overthinking is that then you are in a sense applying resistance to it, because you're like, man, like I really want a really awesome partner, girl, wife, future mother of my child. And if you're constantly thinking about it, you're like, oh man, like she's not here, like I wonder when it's gonna happen. That's adding resistance to it. So then your being, the universe, God, everyone knows that you don't fully believe that it can happen. So that's why it doesn't happen. That's why when people are like, I want $1 million and they don't get it, that is honestly like my resistance, because I've been trying to manifest $1 million for a while. But, and everyone knows that works with me. But, because you have some resistance to that topic, because it's like, how am I going to do it? How is it going to happen? When am I going to meet that person? Am I going to meet that person today when I go get my coffee? Like all that stuff. So if you are applying any sort of doubt or overthought to it, that's resistance already in the universal laws. Okay, so he's talking about a great way that he manifested something, and how I just mentioned people often think that life happens to them. No, it doesn't. I can be honest here and say that my life was not the best, like most of it, and like late teens, 20s or whatever, and that it was me. Like I was constantly manifesting chaos, bad relationships, friendships that were not serving, because that's what I was thinking about. Like, okay, well, I really want just friends to like hang out with. I don't really care. Well, that's who you get. That's who you hang out with.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh yeah, like, so and so got into an argument that was so crazy, and then the fact that you're like repeating these phrases and repeating these words, and then you end up living a very similar situation in the future, that's because you have no resistance to that. You feel like you deserve those things, and so you'll have chaos and bad relationships and a bad life or whatever until you feel you want more. But you have to also not be too attached to when or how it's coming. And I think that's the part of manifestation people don't really understand. How many times has it happened when you think of a song and then you go in your car and then the song comes on? You're like, oh, what's up? Blah, blah. Like, because you didn't have any resistance to it. You thought about the song. You're like, oh, that would be nice to hear it. And then you get in your car and it just magically appears, like, coming through the speakers. That's because you manifested it. How many times have you, like, be honest, like, you broke up with someone and they had, like, a, you know, whatever type of car, right? Name a type of car. I can't even think of something right now.
I don't know.
Toyota, right? And then it's like a freaking red one. And then you just start seeing those types of cars all the freaking time. And you're like, is it them? Is it them? It's because you are thinking about them and you're manifesting things that are similar. You're not manifesting that person, but you're just remembering that car. And so that car keeps appearing. So those are little evidences of how you manifest. And so just how you can manifest or want to manifest good things, you manifest the not so good things as well.
Yeah, for sure.
That's crazy. Right?
Yeah, it is. It's an amazing power, and I feel like something like that is just it opens up the doors to so many other things, like of what you can do and or who you are as a person, you know. And like it just, the crazy thing about manifestation is that it leads down so many tunnels and so many things that like are we even beings, you know, like are we just
don't
like
get crazy?
Like, yeah, that's what I mean. But like there's so many different paths that you can get out, you know what I mean? So just but manifestation is a beautiful thing, and I think if you're putting your energy towards the right thing, it's just gonna lead you towards what you really want.
So I think that, for example, me, I never thought about owning a gym. So when people ask, like, "Oh, did you?" I didn't, but I also know I manifested it because at one point I had like a split second thought, like, I can do it. I don't think that there was anything that could stop that momentum from coming along, right? Just like me even coaching at the gym. It was a thought that I had that I would never tell anybody. Like, I want to be a coach. Like, I never said those words out loud, but I really wanted to be one. And I was just like, okay, you know what? I'm going to just like let it go. That's like a really wild idea. But then like Angela's like, you really need to think about whether or not you want to be a coach. And so to me, it was like, okay, that's like a universal sign. Like, if he's bringing it up and I've never even mentioned it, it doesn't even look like I want to do it. I was never one of those people that was like giving tips while they were doing stuff or anything like that. So for him to bring it up, in my opinion, was like, okay, then I should really do this, right? Those little signs that happen are your manifestations happening. And you have the choice, like, of allowing it to happen or kind of being like, oh, no, that's okay. Like, I'm not going to do it. And so at some point, I remember I was doing a lot of personal training. And somebody was like, it was hard for me to, like, even schedule because I had so many clients here. And finding the time where we would have more opportunity to, like, use the rig or whatever because of the class times. And somebody was like, you know, like, you need your own gym because this is just getting, like, ridiculous or whatever. They're like, you never thought about it? And I was like, no. But after that day, I did think about it. So I was like, you know, like, why wouldn't I?
Right.
What's the issue? Right? So I'm going to give some really great ways for you guys to really kind of test your powers on manifestation. George likes to think. I think you're a thinker. You like to just think it and then you let it go. I'm about writing it down. Well, I'm about writing my freaking stuff down.
So I do have a question about that, but I kind of just, I don't know if we want to go through the whole list of how we can do it, you know? But yeah, I am a thinker. And I feel like the things I think about come more into, what is the word for, like, fruition? Is that the word?
Fruition. And, yes. Very nice. Good job.
So, big word, guys. Big word. But like I don't want to drift off too much because I would like to get into the types of ways to do it, right? But for instance, like, where does that manifestation stop? For instance, like, I want to manifest double the income that I made this year or last year to this year, you know? But like, now I have like a spreadsheet about it, you know, like seeing of how much I'm making every month and pushing myself on that. And so like, how does those two correlate with each other? You know, like, does that stopping me from manifesting it or from writing it down like that, or like being too focused on it. You know what I mean? So like,
right. Okay, so you're saying that the fact that you're putting it into like a spreadsheet or writing it down, that might be bringing too much focus, so it might be some resistance to that.
right, and that's what I feel like.
Okay.
Like, oh, I gotta
That makes
call
sense.
this many people. I gotta do this. I gotta
Yes,
do that. I gotta
that
do
makes
you know?
sense. Okay, so just like George said in the beginning, you can't just be like sitting here podcasting and being like, I want 100,000 followers, right? Like that's not how it works. You do have to put in some work. I know for people that have faith, like there's that saying, like God helps those who help themselves, right? It's the same idea. So if you're actively pursuing something, it's going to happen. So you putting in the work, yes. I think that you overthinking and probably looking at the end and the beginning of every month at the numbers and maybe feeling discouraged when it didn't happen and all that, that's
Right,
what's adding resistance to it. But I think that being prepared and having like a plan is awesome. So I started seeing way more manifestation progress when I did use a spreadsheet. So when I did use a spreadsheet, I'd be like, okay, so this is exactly what I want, blah, blah, blah. And like I do like quarters. So like kind of like the goal setting that we talked about in episode 1 of the season, how I kind of break it down by quarters. I started doing that, and then it was easier for me to see like, okay, like I put in like a little bit of work, but it ended up happening by when I said it would happen. And there are things I have way more resistance on for sure, and so they don't happen all the time, like the $1 million, which will happen, but just not at this moment. So adding a little bit of resistance to it is not terrible, but at the same time, focusing your resistance on it or lack of, like, oh, I didn't make $40,000 this month. Man, like what happened? Like, it's that one deal that didn't go through. I could have called these 2 other people when that deal didn't go through. I already know how George thinks. So he's probably thinking those things. And then it's like the next month it doesn't happen because he already has that like vibe in him.
Right, yeah.
Instead of being like, oh, I didn't make it. Okay, cool. So, what can I do to like speed it up so it gets here a little bit quicker? Right? Instead of being like, it didn't happen.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So yeah, so that's my only question, like on that end, because like you were mentioning how like if you put too much focus on it, that it might put that blocker up, and I'm wondering if I'm blocking myself from making that income that I want to make. But I do have that like, okay, let's move on. It didn't happen this month, let's just go. So and that's something that I learned too throughout just the business. So that's all. Okay, cool, awesome. So can we go back into different types? So you said
Sure.
I'm a thinker, which definitely I am, and you're
right.
right?
I'm a writer, so I like to journal everything. And I don't know if anyone follows the holistic psychologist. I know you do.
Yes.
She has been like such an instrumental person, and like you're in my life.
Yeah, she's awesome.
She is so awesome. I am such a huge fan, and for the most part, even though she is a legit psychologist and talks about psychology, which is also like another passion of mine, she's very aware of like how your feelings affect the things in your life and the outcomes in your life. And so she has this awesome thing called future self journaling, and you've done it before.
Yeah.
And so she just has like, it's just like 3 or 5 questions. It's nothing crazy. Where it's like, okay, like who do you want to be in the future? How do you get there? What's one promise you can make to yourself today that will keep you like accountable? And so to me, like that was really brilliant, because it's like, okay, that's true. Just like how I was talking about the time machine, like I show up how I want to be in the future. So that's me already enacting the manifestation.
Yeah.
Right. So writing stuff down is so instrumental. And I have to say, like, whenever I write something down and I absolutely forget about it, it ends up coming true. I had like a really recent manifestation that I'm not going to discuss, but I did write it down quite a few times, and like that same thing appeared in my life. And so for me, it's just, you have to take the evidence of it and be grateful for it, instead of being like, oh my God, why did this happen, etc. You have to be grateful for it, no matter how big or how small.
Yeah.
And then that's how you get into the rhythm of manifesting more and more. So me manifesting, like, okay, like I'm going to manifest 5 more members. Boom. Okay, I manifest 5 more members, but I wasn't specific. I never said like I want 5 more members and lose 0 members. So maybe I got 5 more members, but I lost 5. Right?
Yeah.
So then you have to be very specific too with what it is that you want. You can't just be like, I want a girl that's 5'8" and likes to go to the movies. You have to say exactly what it is. Like 5'8", blue eyes, blonde hair, blah blah blah. Like you'll get those things. You just can have the resistance to it, and you have to be absolutely very specific.
Like how specific? Though?
Like very specific.
Like crazy specific.
So
like
you know
that,
what? I'm gonna get really personal right now. Okay, so I'm gonna get like legit personal
here
right
we go,
now.
Guys.
Okay.
Oh shit.
So, normal me. I went through a bad breakup in my 20s.
Normal me.
Really bad. It was terrible. It was a toxic relationship. I had to go to therapy. Okay. My therapist was this really awesome Latina therapist. And so I thought that it was awesome that she was Latina, and she was about the universe. I was not about the universe then. I was not about that life. I'm like, this lady, just like how my mom says about the magic, that's how I thought about her.
Okay.
So she was just like, okay, so you're broken up. That was a bad relationship. Like, what did you like about the relationship? And so, like, I wrote a list down. She's like, what did you not like? She's like, okay. So I had to like write everything, like that they smoke, like everything, So she like glued the 2 pages together. Okay. And she was like, all right, I want you to just read these every day for a week. When you come back, we're going to do something else. So when I went back, she was like, okay, I want you to burn this sheet and only concentrate on what it is that you want, and like write everything down. You're going to put this paper in a balloon. You're going to let the balloon go, and it's going to go off into the universe.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Yes, it was so crazy. I was like, this is
stupid, right?
So stupid.
Right?
This is so freaking stupid. Okay. So I did that. Okay. And I was like, she's crazy. Whatever. But she was like, you have to write stuff down. Like, I'm getting my PhD. That's on my mirror every day. Like, PhD in psychiatry, blah, blah, blah. Like, she's like, you have to have stuff written down for it to happen. I didn't believe her, because at that point I was very much like, life happens to me. I don't create my life.
Yeah.
And no lie, like 6 months later, those things that I wrote down on that paper appeared in the form of a man that ended up becoming like a boyfriend, right? I was not ready. I was not ready for him then. Like all the things that I wanted in a person, I was not ready for that person at that time. So it did not work out.
Did this shit wake you up like, holy fuck, what the fuck?
Yes, 100%. So to me, it was like, okay, crazy. That's what I wanted, but I wasn't ready. I didn't know I wasn't ready. I just knew it wasn't the right time. Well, yeah. So that's like it took 6 months, but that was a really reflective manifestation at that time.
Yeah.
Because that's something I really wanted. I've always really wanted a relationship that's stable, that brings me peace, all that stuff. So if you write that down, like it happens, but you have to be so specific. And at the same time, you also have to be ready for that manifestation too. So when I get upset about my lack of $1 million, I know it's because I am not ready for it.
Okay.
So Julian, who's my client, who will be a guest of ours
next episode,
he always said, he's like, I don't know too much about manifestation, but I always said that I would be a millionaire. And Julian's a millionaire. I don't know if a lot of you guys know this, but Julian is a millionaire.
Put it on his work out there.
But he wasn't very specific about how he wanted to be a millionaire. Like, he has serious health issues as a result of an accident. But that's how he got his money. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you had been more specific, like because of work, because of whatever, that's how he would have gotten his money.
Sucks, because I'm going through that right now, because I wish, or I manifested more money, and it's not coming in the way I want to, and it sucks because it's there, and you don't know if you want to take it or not, That's so interesting. That's so awesome. So let me ask you this. So for somebody that's how do you, so I have 2 questions now, but before we get into that one, how do you get ready for that? So like, you're manifesting these things, but how do you get ready for that? So like, let's say I want I don't know, like badass house. Like, how do I prepare myself for that? Like, what do I do? Like, do I start running my credit, or do I start like what? Like,
you have to be prepared for that. So yes, so for you, like you already just mentioned that because that might be something specific for you. It would be working on being ready for your badass house would be adjusting your credit, getting that ready, being someone worthy of that home.
Yeah. So when
I could not have I could not have this gym 2 or 3 years ago. I would not have been worthy of this gym 2 or 3 years ago. When I got in between June of 2019 to February of 2020, I think I got like 10 certifications coaching wise.
So when does manifestation stop being manifestation and then you just did it?
What do you mean?
Like
you did the work.
Like you did the work. Like I want a nice house one day. And you're like, you know what? I'm going to work for that.
Did you ever watch The Secret? Or the movie The Secret?
Never, no.
So there's a book called The Secret, which honestly gets everyone into manifestation. So like if you read that book, you know. And
I read The Secret, but I never watched the movie.
So the movie is pretty good. So they're like, it has like really like legit people that talk about manifestation. Okay. And this one guy who's like a contractor, he always talked about like vision boards, all that stuff, because I do vision boards too.
Vision boards too.
And he said he had moved from one house to another, and he had been like practicing like manifestation for like 10 years, something like that. And that one of his little sons took out one of his old vision boards, and that when he saw it, he started to cry because 10 years ago and obviously he's busy. He's a contractor. He's like building homes all the time. He's like flying around. He's moving around, all that stuff. So it's not like he's just sitting around counting money, like he's working. But he saw the vision board and started to cry. The house that he had on there was the one that he was living in now.
Damn, that's sick as fuck.
So dude, he did it. But he had manifested that.
Yeah, okay.
George is excited.
Crazy. Dude, you know why I'm excited? Because there's this house that I fucking love.
Which one?
There's a house at the corner of the second block of the apartment where we live at.
Okay.
And we always think like, oh, Oak Park, you know, those people just keep their houses in the family, you know. Mm-hmm. But it's so fucking beautiful, and I already looked it up. It's $1.5 million. You know, I'm just like,
that's so funny. You know, remember when we did that driving down? Well, it wasn't driving. It was like the frontline workers when we were driving.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I've always wanted this house. Remember? I think about that house all the time.
Yeah, I think about this house all the time, and I'm just like, well, I don't even know if I'm ever gonna get.
I think about that house all the time, but I know I'm not worthy of that house right now.
Yeah, I'm not worthy for that house right now neither. But yeah, okay. So that was my question on that, and because sometimes I feel like fuck, like okay, I'm manifesting this house, but then I'm putting in the fucking work. You know, I'm putting like then there's not manifestation. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So like.
So and let me just clarify something really quick. When I say worthy, you have to also understand that there's another universal law of like attracts like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so, like, if I want the most amazing house, but yet, like, I don't take care of the place I'm at now.
Yes.
I'm gonna get another house that's like that one.
Yeah.
If I want like the most amazing man, but yet like I'm trash, I'm toxic, I cheat, I whatever. That's the type of person I'm gonna get.
So you're saying that when I manifested Stephanie, like, but I showed the universe that I'm ready. That it's like, okay, he's really ready. Like then they gave me Stephanie.
Correct.
Oh, okay. Now I see what you're talking about. That is just, okay. All right, sweet. Okay, cool. So do you want to touch any more based on this? Because I got another question.
Go ahead.
This is what the podcast is going to turn into. It's going to turn into me asking questions and figuring this out. So, for instance, guys, if you...
I'm not the best. I'm not the most highest expert either. Mm-hmm. I don't consider myself like the best manifester, but I do be manifesting.
Yeah, she be manifesting crazy shit. Sometimes she's like, what the fuck, you know? Mm-hmm. So for instance, guys, manifestation, it works in both ways. So she talked about it a little bit like... but if you're thinking about manifesting the negative things, then things are gonna happen. So, like for instance, I have a friend. Would keep it, but like he's super negative and complaining, and this is where you realize and you start to see like why are there people's lives so bad?
Oh my god, I know.
Like because I guess they just have negative thoughts. They just think of negative things and they bring it. They manifest.
And it's a cycle.
Things.
It's you just keep it going. Keep
right.
it going.
And I feel like that's something that I did a long time ago before I changed and before my whole, my scare and all that. So, I got in a car crash. I got this. My job sucked, and I like terrible toxic relationship. It was just like holy shit. So for people out there that are like that, or that have a friend like that, like, well, I mean, I've already tried to.
It's tough to admit that you're like that.
Yeah. So, what would you recommend to someone? Like, let's say if you are.
How do you become worthy of the things that you
like,
want?
Yeah, like how do
you have to work on yourself. There is no like magic at all.
Okay, so there's a negative viewer, a guy that's like, man, my life is so bad right now. What are you telling that guy to do? Or that girl?
The first thing I'm gonna have someone that's like that. Like they're always in car accidents. Like they're always getting yelled at work. Like they're always like getting ripped off at the store. Like they don't get the right change back. Right? Like all that stuff. Like you have to. The first thing you're going to have to do is honestly be grateful for all those things. How are you grateful for your car breaking down? You just have to be grateful for it. So like. There's times when, for example, like I'm always rushing somewhere. Okay, so I'm always like speeding somewhere. And I always get like this freaking person in front of me that's driving the speed limit. And I have to slow down. And I get frustrated. But then I'm like, you know what? I'm grateful for this car because it's avoiding me driving too fast, maybe getting into an accident. Like hitting something and my bumper falls off. Like that's what this car is doing right now.
That's so funny.
You know what I mean? So you have to be grateful for those little things. Like friggin' Target didn't give me the correct change. The machine, the self-checkout machine, like gypped me. All right. Like now I know maybe I'm grateful for this lesson. I'm going to go to the cashier next time. I was trying to be in a hurry, blah, blah, blah. Right? Like, it took me a long time to be grateful for the horrible relationships that I was in. Do you think like I want to be grateful for like physical abuse or like cheating?
No.
Like no, but you have to be grateful for those things because then I learned about myself through those things and I learned about what I didn't want anymore.
Right.
Or at all. So you have to be grateful for those things first. Second, really be specific about the things that you want and then see how if you were that person or if you were that employer or if you were that friend, would you want you in your life? And how can you adjust those things?
Okay.
It's tough, though, to admit that you're that person.
Yeah.
I have family members like this, and I talk about this all the time. No one wants to feel like, oh, the reason that my life sucks is me.
Yes, dude, and it is you. And it is you. So...
Yeah. So there you go. Is
there any way how would you approach that? Like how would you if you were if like that friend, how would I approach that guy? Because I feel like I've been approaching it the wrong way. Because I feel like I was blessed with my situation, right? And it changed my whole life, you know. It just made me super grateful about life, right?
Yeah.
And that changed. That's when like it just went up, right?
Correct.
So like without them having something so, you know, drastic, or if that's even the right word, drastic, how would you bring that about that with them, or they need to figure it out themselves?
If I really care about the person, I will bring it up. I will say something like, you know what? Because I bring it up to like, you know, sometimes my nephew can be negative or like, you know, like all that stuff, and I'm like, this isn't happening to you. You're attracting this. Like, whether you want to believe it or not. And it's a sensitive subject. Like, this is happening because you're manifesting this. Like, you're attracting this stuff into your life. So, like, let's clean some stuff out. Like, what can we clean out of your life that'll make room for better things? Maybe you don't hang out with so-and-so anymore. Like, maybe, you know, you talk about, like, not being able to lose weight, not having time to work out, and that like puts you in a bad mood, and then you talk crap about everyone that spends so much time in the gym, and like it becomes a cycle. What can we do so that you're eating a little bit healthier? Yeah. You know what I mean? Present some solutions. You don't just ever want to tell people their problems. I have learned that you want to bring in some sort of solution, and whether they take it or not and run with it, that's on them. But at the same time, when this psychiatrist lady was trying to help me out in that, I didn't care for what she was saying because I wasn't ready. It took me another like 8 years for me to figure out what she was saying in the first place. You best believe I would write something now and put it in a freaking balloon and let it go off in the freaking universe.
Yeah.
100%. Let's do this today.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's a beautiful thing once you realize like what you're doing and what you're.
I look
how
for
that
this
life
lady
is.
often to thank her, and I can't find her.
Oh man, it's crazy. Maybe you manifested her just the right time.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So, all right, Susie. So before we wrap up the show, great show, awesome show. We're running a little long. Tell me what you want to be manifesting soon.
Oh, this is a really good question. And the fact that you asked me is so weird.
What the hell? Like the way I turned or what?
Yeah,
My
I
bad.
feel like I have like an answer that you want to know. I would say just more success with the gym. So I don't want to say something too rude or specific. I don't like hurting people's feelings, but I have a very specific population for the gym, and so I am fully aware and embracing the fact that the people that don't fit this population will be removing themselves from the gym.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm okay with that. So I am manifesting specific people here that I want to help. I want to help a specific demographic. So for me, that's really the next step professional wise. You know, there's lots of other things. I've also very recently seen a need for Latinas in fitness to get together and communicate issues that we see, specifically geared to us as trainers, coaches, business owners in the fitness realm. And I have manifested, at the same time worked, and created a group. So I'm very happy with that too. Personally, I would say continuing on, I feel that I'm doing a good job.
Nice, good stuff. Yeah, I mean, well, on my end, I just you guys know my business. I want to double my income from last year. I want to get the clients that I need and stuff like that to afford. But I think one of the big things that I want to manifest this year that me and Stephanie had talked about is like another child.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we're ready for it. I think
I'm excited for that.
yeah. So I think that's something that putting on video. Hopefully, it manifests itself.
Yes.
So but yeah. So anything last words for the people?
I just want to see if you have any questions about it, because I know it can get very, very fishy, or like you can just overall overwhelm you if you think like, oh, I hate that person, I hope they fall, and you think like that's gonna happen. That's not how it works. So if you have any questions as far as like how specific you need to be, or maybe ask me personally things I have manifested, like that picture's a manifestation right there. That was part of a spell. But yes. So
I took that picture.
yes, he did. He did. So yeah, please ask me any questions that you may have about this topic, because I think that everyone can do so much better for themselves with just knowing like the basics.
Yeah. So yeah, guys. So thank you so much. Please DM Susie if you have any questions. She says she's not the expert, but she's an expert manifester. So, and definitely let us know what you guys are manifesting. What kind of things do you manifested in the comments? If you see this video, please let us know. It's really, really interesting to know crazy things what people have manifested, like anything, So peace out, guys. Next episode.
Bye.
Oh, that was a terrible ending. Jeez.
You're always